Section 25 of the Ingoldsby Legends, First Series. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Ingoldsby Legends, First Series by Richard Harris Barham. Section 25. It is much to be regretted that I have not as yet been able to discover more than a single specimen of my friend Sucklethumbkin's muse. The event it alludes to, probably the euthanasia of the late Mr. Greenacre, will scarcely have yet faded from the recollection of an admiring public, although with the usual diffidence of a man of fashion, Augustus has sunk the fact of his own presence on that interesting occasion. I have every reason to believe that, in describing the party at the auberge hereafter mentioned, he might have said, with a brother exquisite, quorum pars magna fui. Honourable Mr. Sucklethumbkin's story, The Execution, a Sporting Anecdote. My Lord Tomnoddy got up one day. It was half after 2, he had nothing to do, so his lordship rang for his cabriolet. Tiger Tim was clean of limb, his boots were polished, his jacket was trim, with a very smart tie in his smart cravat, and a smart cockade on the top of his hat. Tallest of boys, or shortest of men, he stood in his stockings just 4'10", and he asked, as he held the door on the swing, "Pray did your lordship please to ring?" My Lord Tomnoddy he raised his head, and thus to Tiger Tim he said, "Malibran's dead, Duvernay's fled, Taglioni has not yet arrived in her stead. Tiger Tim, come tell me true, what may a nobleman find to do?" Tim looked up, and Tim looked down, he paused, and he put on a thoughtful frown, and he held up his hat, and he peeped in the crown. He bit his lip, and he scratched his head, he let go the handle, and thus he said, as the door released behind him banged, "An't please you, my lord, there's a man to be hanged." My Lord Tomnoddy jumped up at the news. "Run to M'Fuze and Lieutenant Tregooze, and run to Sir Carnaby Jenks of the Blues. Rope dancers a score I've seen before, Madame Sachi, Antonio, and Master Blackmore, but to see a man swing at the end of a string, with his neck in a noose, will be quite a new thing." My Lord Tomnoddy stepped into his cab, dark rifle green with a lining of drab. Through street and through square his high-trotting mare, like one of Ducrow's, goes pawing the air. Adown Piccadilly and Waterloo Place went the high-trotting mare at a very quick pace. She produced some alarm, but did no great harm, save frightening a nurse with a child on her arm, spattering with clay 2 urchins at play, knocking down very much to the sweeper's dismay an old woman who wouldn't get out of the way, and upsetting a stall near Exeter Hall, which made all the pious church mission folks squall. But eastward afar through Temple Bar my Lord Tomnoddy directs his car, never heeding their squalls, or their calls, or their bawls. He passes by Waithman's Emporium for shawls, and merely just catching a glimpse of St. Paul's, turns down the Old Bailey, where in front of the jail he pulls up at the door of the gin shop and gaily cries, "What must I fork out tonight, my trump, for the whole first floor of the Magpie and Stump?" The clock strikes 12, it is dark midnight, yet the Magpie and Stump is one blaze of light. The parties are met, the tables are set, there is punch cold without, hot with, heavy wet, ale glasses and jugs, and rummers and mugs, and sand on the floor without carpets or rugs, cold fowl and cigars, pickled onions in jars, Welsh rabbits and kidneys, rare work for the jaws, and very large lobsters with very large claws. And there is M'Fuze, and Lieutenant Tregooze, and there is Sir Carnaby Jenks of the Blues, all come to see a man die in his shoes. The clock strikes 1, supper is done, and Sir Carnaby Jenks is full of his spun, singing jolly companions every one. My Lord Tom Noddy is drinking gin toddy, and laughing at everything and everybody. The clock strikes 2, and the clock strikes 3. Who so merry as we, save Captain Mafuz, who is taking a snooze, while Sir Carnaby Jenks is busy at work, blacking his nose with a piece of burnt cork. The clock strikes 4, round the debtor's door are gathered a couple of thousand or more, as many await at the press yard gate, till slowly its folding doors open, and straight the mob divides, and between their ranks a waggon comes loaded with posts and with planks. The clock strikes 5, the sheriffs arrive, and the crowd is so great that the street seems alive. But Sir Carnaby Jenks blinks and winks, a candle burns down in the socket and stinks. Lieutenant Tregooze is dreaming of Jews, and acceptance is all the bill brokers refuse. My Lord Tom Noddy has drunk all his toddy, and just as the dawn is beginning to peep, the whole of the party are fast asleep. Sweetly, oh sweetly, the morning breaks, with roseate streaks, like the first faint blush on a maiden's cheeks. Seem'd as that mild and clear blue sky smiled upon all things far and nigh, on all save the wretch condemned to die. Alack, that ever so fair a sun as that which its course has now begun should rise on such a scene of misery, should gild with rays so light and free that dismal, dark, frowning gallows tree. And hark, a sound comes big with fate, the clock from St. Sepulchre's tower strikes 8. List to that low funereal bell, it is tolling, alas, a living man's knell, and see from forth that opening door, they come, he steps that threshold o'er, who never shall tread upon threshold more. God, 'tis a fearsome thing to see, that pale wan man's mute agony, the glare of that wild despairing eye, now bent on the crowd, now turned to the sky, as though 'twere scanning in doubt and in fear the path of the spirit's unknown career. Those pinioned arms, those hands that ne'er shall be lifted again, not even in prayer, that heaving chest, enough, 'tis done, the bolt has fallen, the spirit is gone, for weal or for woe is known but to one. Oh, 'twas a fearsome sight, ah me, a deed to shudder at, not to see. Again that clock, 'tis time, 'tis time, the hour is past with its earliest chime, the cord is severed, the lifeless clay by dungeon villains is borne away. 9, 'twas the last concluding stroke, and then my Lord Tom Noddy awoke, and Tregooze and Sir Carnaby Jenks arose, and Captain Mafuz with the black on his nose, and they stared at each other, as much as to say, Hullo, hullo, here's a rum go. Why, Captain, my lord, here's the devil to pay, the fellow's been cut down and taken away. What's to be done? We've missed all the fun. Why, they'll laugh at and quiz us all over the town. We are all of us done so uncommonly brown. What was to be done? 'Twas perfectly plain that they could not well hang the man over again. What was to be done? The man was dead. Naught could be done, naught could be said. So my Lord Tom Noddy went home to bed. End of section 25.